Hi guys, this is Dandelion Song, and I wanted to bring you another Simpson episode. This is because I've been looking at of course at the 8/16, so I decided I would take a look at this episode, season 8, episode 16, and right off the bat I saw the 2-2-3, which is the skull and bones backwards. So then I thought, well, okay, we probably should take a look at this. Just to read you the short thing here, it says, grudge against his cousin Sideshow Bob. Cecil tries to kill Springfield with a hydroelectric dam explosion, which was fonded, hollowed structure by him. I don't know what that means, but he embezzles during the construction, and then okay, so anyway, Sideshow Bob, who has been a killer in the past, turns around and tries to save the children, Bart and Lisa. The other interesting thing about this is that at least on the way, IMDb does have coded things, so they are aware of the code, and at least on their record of the episodes, this is 169 of 591 episodes, so this is the free number. 60, actually 96 is the free number, but the 169th day is June 18th, which is 6/18, and that is FR, so that's why I say that that's the free number, because it's going from the 6th dimension to the 9th dimension. Also, you will notice maybe that this is also an anagram for 1618, which is phi. Okay, well, I wrote this all out ahead of time, so hopefully this will go faster. So I just wanted to show you Matt. The center is 1. That makes this side of 14 and this side of 41, so you can see the symmetry between the sides, which validates the whole Vesica Pisces simple gematria decode, because they care. So this is the A is the all-seeing eye here. It's the pineal gland, and it rotates around. This is a B also, because it's a 13, and a 13 also is a B. So it rotates. So Matt rotates around the all-seeing eye, but it's the birth, the pregnant. I guess it would be the pregnant possibility of this for us. And you see, this is the 40 number. This was in the Buddha. We see this again and again referred to as really as the bride of Christ, whether it's Buddha or whatever. Buddha has in his name the body of us, 40. And I think that's in a title. Yeah, that's in a title of one of my recent videos, in case you want to see that. So the Philadelphia train wreck has 40 symbolism, which symbolizes the U.S. coming off the tracks right there. So it's the U.S., but it's also us. But here, when you take the valence field and you add it here, you have this is a blind number right here. That means blind. And this number is half of 28, which is the total years that they let the Twin Towers stand. So to them, it's a ceremonial diameter of time. And the way that I know this is that this is 28 days for the full rotation of the sun is visible from the Earth. And they also care about half of that. They care about all these numbers. Plus this is a 7, plus a 7, which is a different kind of a way. Just wanted to make sure that you saw this. So this adds together to be 54, I believe. Am I right? Yes. So that's a 9. Let's just put that there. Okay. Then groaning, grow. I also saw that grow is a very important word. It's in Grover. It's in Grove. And it does equal us. But it's not just any kind of us, because it has a pi. The GR prefix is pi, because it equals 25, and 25 equals pi. And these guys worship pi. So we're not just making it up when we see this different places. They constructed the language around this. Okay, so then if you add another 15 to that, then you have 40. Then the EN is a 19 and this is in the very center of the word. So this is, when I see raw, this is the raw number, for Ra. They also worship Ra. This is the target symbol, but it's also the 13. It's the 12 around the outside and the 13 in the middle, which brings you back to the M. But this is an 18 plus a 1. That's 19. That makes Ra. The 19 itself is an S. You have the serpent symbolism. So that's again and again. I used to think that Ra was, maybe a fallen Nephilim, and maybe he is, but I think that Ra is actually kind of an atom from a religion of a last solar age. Like according to the Mayans, we're in the 5th solar age of solar destruction cycles. I'm starting to think that Ra and some of the early Egyptian deities were from at least the 4th, if not before, and he would be the atom of that time. And so when I see Ra in the center of things, here's the NBC symbol. They do a sunrise, but it's not our sun. Let's not be tricked. This is the Star of Ra. And in the last Simpson video that I showed you, I talked a lot about the Star of Ra and the 15th of September, so you might want to go check that out. But NBC also has the peacock sign, and if you watch Wayne Herschel's videos, I'll try to put some, actually, yeah, I think it's hard for me to remember to put links in the description, but if you Google Wayne Herschel if you YouTube search him, he has 2 videos, very important ones, where he shows you in the Egyptian papyrus how the ship of Ra looks just like this, just like a peacock, and it lands on the back of the Sphinx. So you can either say that NBC is worshiping a peacock, or they are worshiping the ship of Ra. And their other sign is this. They have an animation that goes back and forth between those 2 things. And I really don't think they are worshiping a peacock. However, there is some symbolism in the peacock, because the peacock feathers has structural pigment, just like the scarab. So it's not all pretend. Okay, then the IN is a 23, and the G is a 7. So this whole segment here is a very important suffix. We see it a lot, and it equals 30. And I was really stumped about what 30 means. But now I'm going to always think of this as it equals Bible, Alice, hail, and eagle. Very important words, and unusual because they match in all 3 Jewish, English, and simple gematria, and that's very unusual if you've done a lot of gematria like I've done. All right, I figured out what 75 is, and I hope to bring that to you. It did come up in this video. It's pretty cool. Okay, well anyway, so let's go to created. Creation is an important word. CR is 21. This is the beginning, actually this is the end of the 12th prime, 21st prime mirror that they like to use. So you can kind of see how that makes sense, because creation is an end. It's the end, and it is a prime type of word. So that makes sense that they would put that in the beginning. I just want to point out real quick, the 12th prime is 37, the 21st prime is 73. These are star matrix numbers. They have to do with our quantum random frequency generator that we live in, known as creation. It's meant to be a benevolent, loving, challenging, beautiful creation. All right. Then in the center, we have eat. Eat equals God. Let me show you. So, okay, here. So at is 21, because the 1, here's the 1, here's the 20. And we have the 5. So again, we have the end of creation, the end of the prime mirror matrix number, and we have the 5-pointed star, which when it's written as a 5, I always put it upward. But you always want to remember that it has the trident in there. This whole thing equals 26. 26 is the God number. So when people talk about that we are a food source for the gods, or we at least were, I think some of us still are, and in the past we were a food source for the gods, at least with the metaphor of the honeybee, where they harvest energy from us and they eat that. And most of them like the negative energy, and that's why they show you scary, horrible news and bad TV shows, because they are actually harvesting negative energy from you. And They might be doing it through the electronics. Where you're surrounded by an electronic grid and you are energy. So I don't think that's too far of a stretch. But I do think we need to keep in mind that EAT equals God, it equals IQ. Actually, these are simple gematria equals, but IQ, it equals IQ in a Sissian gematria, which is pretty complicated, and I haven't used it a lot, but it's worth mentioning. Also, we have other words that have to do with eat, like harvest. I think I've done this one recently in some videos. Vest is 6/6, and this is 19. That's raw. This is 8. So 19 and 8 is 27. So that's 9. 966. So the digital root of that is a 9, right? Anyway, just to top it all off, 9/6 is a movement from, it's the opposite of 6/9. It's the movement from the top of the dome to the bottom, from the 9th level to the 6th level. And the 196th day of the year is 7/15. That was the start of Jade Helm. Oops, I made it like a clock. And this is a G and an O. Okay, so just so that you know, I'm not bananas here. What I'm doing is I'm picking up the frayed edges of their code, and I'm not doing it perfectly, but I'm doing a pretty good job actually. So what you see here is the woven pattern. Okay. Oh yes, an ED is 9. So altogether, this word created, unless I did my math wrong, is 56, and that is, of course, has a lot to do with our relationship between phi and pi, because 6/5 times phi squared. Please see my video on phi squared. It's pretty weird. Actually, I think I need to do another one because it's a little confusing. Because I had to retract. I did it wrong the first time, but then if you the main gist of it is that if you square phi, the first 8 digits after it's 1.618. See, this is why I don't want to do it, because I'm going on memory now. I have it almost handy, but I think it's a 0339 after this, and these digits are the same through the square. So that's what makes this worth paying attention to, besides that they worship this, and it's the golden mean, and they made all their temples this way, and the temple is supposed to be the body of man, not a building. So that was one of the first distractions that they did. Oh yeah, this approximates phi, doesn't equal it. Well, anyway, when you see an important word that's a 6/5 or a 5/6, it matters. And then yeah, so that whole thing, so anyway, it all adds up to 11 completely. And then I'm not going to show you the outer valence fields. They're kind of interesting. There's a TED and a CRE here, so that's a 26. Oh, okay, 26 and a 29. So those are, you can see that those are opposites, right? They're kind of mirrors of each other. 26 and a 29 with a 1 in between. So this is an 11. This would be a 9 if it took the center. All right, let's get on to bi. So this is an important word because it has pi right in it. Y is both the question and the answer. Y, pi. And then you add these together, and it's a 27, and that's also a 9. All right, well, we can guess from the heavy code and that this show is able to predict events 15 years ahead of time. I wanted to show you the Dabu video that he did recently, where he shows that Simpsons is pretty specifically predictive of events 15 years ahead of time, that Matt Groening is probably well connected, so that's why it's worth it to dissect his name. Plus, it's a strange name, which shows you that they went to some trouble to create it. So Groening adds up, unless I did it wrong, to 28, which is the opposite, 82, which is the opposite of 28. So it's like a mirror of that number. And then if this adds to Matt for 136. 36 is, of course, a very important number, having to do with the seed of life, vector mathematics with the along the axis of the seed of life, having to do with the number 9 and the symbolism of 9, and it's also a 666 trinity. 100 is also another important number we see a lot. 100 equals shooter, and it shows up this 100 just by itself without the 36. It shows up a lot in our headlines. All right, well, at 123 in the show, I just wanted to point this out. It's not the hugest thing, but he does have pi on his shirt, and I just want to show you how they keep showing you pi. So this is kind of like a gateway pi. Just to point out, too, that we have a 23 down here and a 1. And then over here is a 27, which is also a 9. So that's a 923 down here. And over here, we have a gateway. I haven't seen this before, so I wanted to show it to you. So this is a gateway pi, but it also could be a 0, a 0B, if you did it that way. But it's basically 17 with a 0 in the middle, and that is the Q. Q equals 17. And you'll notice this is a power symbol, and I've talked about this a lot in the last 3 videos. So, or like maybe the whole last week since I discovered this. If you can go back to the video that I first started talking about Q in the video that says that Q interrupts phi. So that's what makes it important. Besides, the last state of Hawaii is HI, and this is pi in Greek, and it's the 50th state and the final state, and HI equals 17. So that's, I just wanted to show you that they have this for some reason. You know, they just want to show you the date and the gateway of pi. It's like, when it's a gateway number, it means that something's coming through the gate. This was done, yeah, again, I told you, February 23rd, 1997. So that's a 16-year. 1997, just to keep that in mind. I've told you about the 555. At this point in the story, there's some sinister music playing, and it looks like Bob, Sideshow Bob, has gotten out of jail. Let's look. So Sideshow Bob, here, let me write some stuff out, and then I'll click back for you. All right, sorry my handwriting is so shaky. It's hard to write on the computer here. So BOB is, if you you can see a really good video on this. There's an Illuminati card, predictive card about this that shows that it's the 1313. It's a 13 gateway, which I've written right there, and then that this relates to the M. So this is the MM of the Georgia Guidestones. It also has a digital root of 4, so it's the 44, which brings you to the 44th president, who is also known as BOB, or the Big O. So that is, whenever you see this, after watching a lot of the in-depth older videos of Casey, not too old, he goes back to shows that are pretty old, like I think the 60s, or maybe, you know, around there, like the Munsters. He goes back that far, and he proves in quite a few shows that they have characters that are playing Barack Obama, whether they're white or black. Sometimes they're black, sometimes they're white, but they have Barack Obama's numbers. So this, from his work at Casey at Enterthe Stars, shows that they've been planning for Barack Obama for a while. And if you study Barack Obama's history, is Barry Soetoro, and if you study Stephen Bassaggio's statements, whether you believe them or not, there's a lot of depth to the Barack Obama character. Okay, Sideshow is very interesting because here's the Ides. We know that the Ides is the Ides of March are an ancient holiday. I actually don't know very much about it, but when you see an anagram of one of these major holidays, and we know that Winston Churchill was a very high Druid priest, and we don't know, you know, if they're good or if they're bad, because we have to keep our mind open. Just because they have a certain classification doesn't mean they're good or bad, but what we do want to pay attention to is high-profile holidays and their codes. So this would be the Ides right here. And then also it does not disappoint because it shows you one of your star matrix numbers, which I just explained to you, the 37, 73, 12, 21 prime mirrors here. Okay, so show is also, it basically has a 923 in it, because I just want to show this to you. I'm going to take a little bit of time because it has a question in it, how, and it has probably an answer, because we've seen that they have answers within their questions. So the S and the H we see a lot, so we can start to realize every time we see that, that's basically a 27, that's a 9. Then the OW is 15 plus 23, that's 38, that's an 11. Okay, so this is the Ides of 9/11. Also, I just want to point out that when you have a compound word like this, the two starting letters are important. So this is an SS. It refers to the Nazi police. The Nazis are the people who don't see. Just want to put this in here. Not see. They don't see. And the all eyes. You know, I'm not saying that Queen Elizabeth was good, but on her profile, she has on one of her pictures on her profile, on her Facebook profile, she has a picture of herself looking very strange with the dark sign of J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter on her left arm, and her dress is covered with eyes. So she would be an all-eye, and Britain would be an ally. Okay, and when you see people with names like Allison, that's whose team they're on. Or if Alicia, she would be an ally of the CIA, which is the Vatican. Well, it's all really the same. So I just want to point out that SS equals 88, and the Nazis really took the 88, but originally it was a Cathar Christ symbol. Okay, so that's what they just seems like they make a living out of taking symbols and turning them dark and scary. All right, okay, yeah, I wanted to show you how. So I don't know if you can see in all my scribbling. So how is H, so HO is 23, because you have the 8 and the 15, that's 23. And then the W is a 23. So that's a 23, 23, which is a 46. So how is the combination, a second, let me pause this for a second. All right, stick with me. I'm going to try to make my writing better. It's a learning process. I used to have really bad audio too. My audio's gotten better. Well, okay, so anyway, 23 and 23, this is the mating, this is the conception, right? How is the question, conception is the answer. I believe this is what this symbolizes, is 23, 23, because you have 23 chromosomes from each parent. And also, not only that, but 923 is the same, it's on the Gregorian calendar, equals 9/11 on the Julian calendar. So that's all tied together. Plus they burnt down 2 buildings, and a lot of people who study the symbols think that was kind of a conception, or burning down, either burning down and obliterating the genders, which is not a good idea, I don't think. Or it's actually, I think it's more like this. It's a symbolic hybridization between an alien species, giving 23, and a human species, giving 23. That they really want to become fully hybridized with us, because basically our DNA is their only ticket out of this dome. So that's the 46. So there's a lot there in Sideshow Bob. So he is a very interesting character, because especially in this episode, he comes out of prison, he redeems himself, he tries to stop the blowing up of this hydroelectric dam, which is symbolic of a dam that we all know very well. All right, I have a little spot to show you. This is just, I want to show you how the 555 is their alarm number, because so right before this, Bart goes, we shouldn't have let Sideshow Bob out. He's pure evil. If only you knew what he was thinking. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that music, and it was the 555 right there. All right, so here Bart prays to God to kill Sideshow Bob, and we have a clock in the background, and it looks like it is 6 or 10 until 10, but we'll take a closer look at that in a second. But at this moment, she says, Bart, no, she explains to him. So we have the 6 and the 8, and this is the Bride of Christ moment here. This is the 68 and the 86, and they do, it is mixed with the death symbol. 68 and 86 is, you know, when you 86 something. But I just want to show you that this teaching moment here, where she teaches him, you know, not to ask God to kill Sideshow Bob. It's kind of a Bride of Christ sort of thing. But here we come up on a number. Oh, I just want to show you the. Just want to show you the clock. Okay, then Bart's dad says, "You do your own dirty work. Don't ask, you know, God to do that." So then let's look at the clock, and I just wanted to show you that. Kind of this way, it's sort of a 106, and here it's a 99. So it looks like he's making a decision right here. This just helps us understand these numbers. Also, the word till, like this, is 41, which is a blind number. Something to know. Okay, so at this place, at 909, this is Sideshow Bob's brother Cecil, who that adds up to be a 32, and I think he is supposed to be the good brother, but what happens in the story is Cecil's the one who builds the dam faultily, and here they're talking about the future site of this dam, and it's a 909. But I also want to draw your attention to Cecil's shirt here. Cecil has a green argyle shirt on, and this is a sacred number pattern, and I want to show this to you. I'm going to show this to you in a Back to the Books. So it's not a coincidence that he's wearing a green argyle shirt. All right, well, I just wanted to show you that as they're making their plan, this is a 9-9 gateway, and we just saw a 9-9 when Bart was making his decision. So it seems like it's the completion. Oh, well, let me highlight it. It seems like it's a number of decision or completion. Here, and also with Bart, it's the start of a kind of a mission or a journey. So that's just how we educate ourselves about what they're doing with these numbers. This scene is just to show you how they will change the background on you, trying to call attention to the numbers, but most people won't notice. So here we see in the background, there's 2 file folders here, and FF, that's a 66. Actually, it's like a bunch of, it's double file folders. There's a whole bunch of 6s. Anyway, on the next scene, when his brother comes in, there'll be a clock here.
Hello, brother. All's well, I trust? It most certainly is not. The workmen you've given me don't know their asses from the hole in the ground they...
Okay, so there's the clock. Let's just wait till he moves.
accidentally blew yesterday.
Okay. So this clock looks like it is, I don't know if we ever get a full picture of the clock, but I have a picture in my, hold on. All right, so I drew this out because without looking at it, without measuring it, looks like a 12:10. But if you kind of draw these points out where they should be, disregard that one, that was a mistake. This would be that one. Then it kind of looks like it is 12:13, you know, or a 12:12. Either number is kind of special, but a 12:13 number, it's a little on that side of it, is pi, because that's 25. Oops, I'm drawing outside where you can see, huh? 25. So that's pi. And this is an 11. This would be 38. And this, if you take the digital root of pi, it's a 7. And this is one of their sacred ratios, 7-11. It has to do with the pyramids. It has to do with the consciousness, the evolution of the consciousness of man, and many more things like that. But we can see that now there's a vent here. You know, if we could spend all day looking at this symbolism, but I just mostly wanted to show you the clock. I also wanted to show you that at the time that they show you the clock, it's quite a split second, and it is 11:03, which is their 311 Fukushima World Trade Center number. World Trade Center was 11.3, Fukushima was 311, and the diameter of time, which I think is the original symbolism of this word, is 3113, is the diameter of time that the Mayans assigned to the destructive cycle, the long count of the sun. All right, so here, just to watch the numbers on the timestamp, he says, a psychotic little boy who won't leave me alone, or something like that, and then he says little boy twice, which means for you to write down little boy or put it into a geometrical counter because it has something to do with this moment. I haven't done that, but I want to show you that then he says something, I wish I could blow up this dam, and it turns out to be right. Actually, let's watch the timestamp. Hold on, because I think the 11:44 is the important moment here.
You will not stop hounding me. This little boy right here. Sometimes I wish this dam would burst.
Okay, so right on sometimes I wish this dam would burst. This little boy right here, he says little boy twice. And then I wish this dam would burst is at 47, and that's the agent number. So we have kind of a gateway agent number. Now he doesn't end up to be the guy who blows up the dam, but I just wanted to show you these numbers. All right, so they're looking to find evidence against Bob. I wanted to write this out for you, but I just really quick, off ice, remember what I've told you about the frozen degrees, and that 33 is the first degree that's not frozen. So of course, the office or an officer is going to be more of a master degree, and it tells you right in the word that they are off ice. They are not frozen. However, if you look at a police officer, I think they really are frozen. They're frozen with programming, but the idea of this is that these guys are the elite, and everyone else follows what the office tells them to do. So I just wanted to show you that real quick. So right here we have another 311 number, and it's also kind of a gateway. They just went in through the window. I would love to do window for you because it has the OW, the WI. It's such an important number. One of the major operating systems of our world is Windows. There's your clue. But I did another, hold on, I'm going to show you something I did with the pink cup. Hold on. So this is right after she turns on the light. Now we do have a moon here, but I just want to show you that cup again is 40. And it's also a chalice shape. It's a womb shape. So just showing you how to, I know I don't have to draw it out for you again. I kind of like my drawing, my little, I think I adjusted my tool option finally. Also wall, we have a blue wall here. I showed you what blue means in one of the other, in the Simpsons, where I think blue is in the title, blue door. Well, here we have a blue wall. And I just want to show you that, first of all, wall is another giant important word. Wall Street, everything having to do with wall. If you just look around, you'll see it everywhere. Walgreens, doesn't have both the L's. Well, this one has two L's, and that tells you it's like Noel, Noel. Those are both of the L's. So it shows you the fallen angels. Here's the T of the cross, and when it falls, the L's go both ways. This is the opposite of the divergent sevens. So the divergent sevens are more of an upright journey. I accidentally made a fleur-de-lis. So the divergent sevens mean a lot of things. They tell you actually a code of the structure of our sky, which Casey at Enterthe Stars teaches about, but it also shows you an upward journey of choice. And then the fallen T to the fallen L's shows you a downward journey of choice. And here you have a forward and a backward. One of them is a loser, and one of them is the mirror of a loser. So that's in there. Plus this is 24. So the 24, it's a 6-6, but it's also, you could also see it as 2 days, but what I see it as is a full day of activity for the fallen. And that the fallen themselves also have within them encoded a full day, night and day. And that just shows you, it's just subtly symbolic of the dark and the light mixed into one. So here we have half dark, half light. Here we have half dark, half light. So it's a subtle symbolism of that. So this would be the light side, the other side would be the dark side. Oh, and then let's not forget that the 48, when we add that together, the root of that is a 12, the root of that is a 3, but the 12th prime is 37. So that does, these important numbers seem like they come back to the 3773. All right, well, the word Lisa has, when you see the L and the I together, it's the first part of lie, but this codes to, it's a 12 plus the 9 is the 21, so what it shows you, this mirror right away. And this is a creation number, and it's the first part of lie. So, you know, if you added the E to it for a lie, that would be 26. And then Sa is a protection symbol that they use. Now they use it for cancer, and please don't wear these things. Please don't use ribbons. You don't understand the symbolism. This is the true symbol of Sa. I read these books called oh gosh, let's see if I can remember what they are. They were written from a point of view of real past life memory recall, and in those lifetimes, in those Egyptian lifetimes, the character would pray to Sa, the way that we would say, "Oh my goodness," something like that. Well, Sa is the academics will teach you it's a protection symbol, but I've gone over this before. We do see this in Washington D.C. placed over the head of Isis, where this is the Treasury building and this is an office of the puppets and this is the head of Isis, and it fits perfectly over this. But this is not a protection symbol for the commoners. It's only a protection symbol for the elite. So that's good to know. Plus all this adds up to 41, which tells you that Lisa, despite all of her good intentions, she's blind. And she's almost always wearing a orange dress. So an orange is the new black, and we have to, and I think I've done this word before, but now I can't remember, so I thought I would do it again. 15, the center is 15, which reduces to a 6. The GE is electricity, which is adds to a 13, which reduces to a 4. So there is an implied Pythagorean double 8 here. That's a Pythagorean or a digital root reduction of that goes with the 33 on the front. But if you just add it straight up, 33 plus 28 adds to 61, which is their number for church. And I've done the word church for you. So I'm trying to think of which video that's in, and I don't know if it's in the title or not, but it's basically and these two 11s. So the two 11s add up to 22, which is the Abraham edible slave number coming through the gates of ancient. Basically, they're telling you the church goes back to ancient Sumerian times. It's a Sumerian creation. All right, well, I couldn't help it. Had to look at window again. So when you win, this is important because we have two important words in this compound word. So winning is 2323, which is 46, and that's the combination of the chromosomes, that's conception, and then we have Dow, which is one of the indexes for the stock market. So I was surprised to see kind of this is a meaning of life number. Now do, when you do something, it looks like they're equating that with Ra. So that is action. When you, that is, and you can kind of see that as divine action, because Ra is the creation of the first creation after the four sounds of the Ankh, the Ogdoad. And if you think of this as the atom of the Egyptian theology, that's what the whole quantum frequency generator is for him to have action, to do something. And this kind of comes up with something that I've been thinking about lately, like what do we have the right to do? And when you do things here in this world, it is a three-dimensional prayer. For example, you might notice if you pray for something, usually there's some action involved, and the action will make itself more noticeable if you pray about it. but there is action involved, and I think of that as holy action or divine action, and it's something that you need to do. It's almost like a three-dimensional prayer where you need to go speak to that person, or you need to deliver these papers, or something like that. Okay, well, if we add this all together, it's 88, which is very interesting because it's the Christ number again. It's drawn this way. The Cathars drew it this way. And as you can see, it does look a little bit like an ankh. I'm going to show you that. And the other thing about a window is it's glass. Glass is it's symbolic of dragons. Actually, I've been watching Mel. She does a show on YouTube called Dragonology, and she says that glass is symbolic of dragons. Hold on a second, let me just look at this word. And she points out that Glastonbury is where dragons were buried. Well, if we look at this, GL again is Ra, and then ASS is an 11 or a 29. So there is a 911 in here. But if you add it straight up, here's the 29 and okay, that's 48, which is 4 times 12. So it's the outer circle, and then it does show Ra here in the front of the chariot here. Ra would be inside, but the 12 is the outer circle. That's the zodiac. That's the round table, King Arthur's round table. And here is 4 times 12, which is kind of calling in the idea of the dome, which has the 4 corners of the earth and the 4 winds, 4 elements, those kind of things. All right, at this place in the story, Bart found some money, some signs of corruption inside of here, and he's about to get interrupted by Bob here. Bob happens to be innocent, as the story goes. But on the clock, we have a 12:09. Looks like a 12:09. And I just want to show you that, again, I think this refers to the 12:21 and the 33. It's like the arrival of the 33, the arrival of the master, something like that. But besides being a 33, 12, the reason why is because if you add the 9 back to the 12, it goes to the 21, and we know that this is a special relationship. So I think that's what they're talking about with the clock here. It could also be a 309 gateway, because we see the 36 and the opposite of, and this is the 666, so this would be the 39, so this would be the upside down 36. Well, if the 666 if 36 is a 666 trinity, then the upside down 39 would symbolically be, oh, that's interesting that this image is a 33. This happens a lot, you guys, it's crazy. And we have a 102 gateway down here on the timestamp. Okay, well, anyway, if this is a 666 trinity, this by implication would be a 999 trinity, which would be a completion. So what happens here is that this is when he opens the door here, what we have is I guess it's the beginning of the completion, where we see that Bob has redeemed himself. And I think that 9 9s are also redemption numbers. So this could be a gateway of redemption right here. And it shows it on the clock with the 2 file folders. This is a moment of surprise where Lisa sees and Bart shows her the briefcase of money. So I just want to show you that there's a 1313 gateway. And also here on the file cabinet is a 13. They're just showing you what these codes are. That this A plus L is 13, and because they do it, they show you one on one side and one on the other side. It's basically like a 1313, so it's kind of a reflection here. Okay, so we talked about the 309 gateway, or whatever kind of gateway was on the clock right here, and this is where he kind of breaks through, and we have a 23 again. So there's some kind of breakthrough. And usually I do see this. A decision is made. But I want to show you, there's a black part coming up here, and it has to do, and then there's a 39 on the clock, and I think that 39 on this clock. So it has to do with 39 on the clock above. And we're just learning how to read the codes here. Plus, I'm trying to see if I do think that they have plans for the dam, but I think that their plans to destroy the Hoover Dam keep getting taken apart by the good guys. There's good guys on the ground. So I don't know if they're going to succeed with the dam. I think they've tried it several times. But I am looking for dam clues here also.
Sideshow Bob doing with...
Okay, so it goes black right here, and I just wanted to show you the 39 because I think we saw that on the clock. So that's the echo of that. All right, so again, he opens the door and it's on the 11. So that it's the 11 and the 23 are breakthrough moments, and then this is also a 311. So right at this moment is the first moment the dam starts to break, and it's 432. This is a sonic geometry frequency number that's very important, having to do with the speed of light, but it also has a 32 in here, which is the opposite of the 23, and I think it's more of the upright number. The 23 would be the completion of the dark. And this is a little bit about the completion of the dark within Bob. So here we see that they didn't use cement on the inside of the dam. Alright, so right at this point, Cecil, who has an Argyle thing on this front of it, which I want to show you, and dynamite and a gun, he says, oh, this dam could collapse at any moment, and Cecil says, 1 minute past sunrise to be exact. Well, sunrise, if you do the gematria of it, is 105. So 1 minute, 1 plus that would be 106, and that's the number that we saw at in the Amtrak fiasco, where the train had 106 on each of its forehead, on each corner of its forehead. And if you watch my last video, I describe about how that is how that ties into Egyptian hieroglyphs of ancient pharaohs, where they have kind of a worm with that has 2 7-shaped horns. So that was what the Amtrak train was symbolizing. One of the things, it was also had a 40. So I don't want to do that all again. But so this is Cecil. He's a 32, and he says to be precise. Oh, 1 minute past sunrise to be precise. So precise. I didn't. It kind of matches Cecil. Okay, yeah, so sunrise is a 105 number, so if you add 1 to that, 1 minute to that, that'd be 106. All right, I also forgot to show you in this still is that it's a 1414 moment, and that's the two halves of the 9/11, the Twin Towers destruction. After 28 years, they were allowed to stand for 28 years. And if you watch Casey at Enterthe Stars, he has some videos about how they celebrated the 14th year with a whole bunch of movie and music releases talking about halfway this and halfway that and 14. So it's not an accident that they code this as a 1414 right when he's telling you about the sunrise, which has a 106 code in it, the 1 minute past sunrise. All right, so right here he says he's going to walk away with 15 million, and it's at a 1511, so this would be like a 611, which we do see 623s once in a while, but we also see 611s, and a 611 is just an up and down mirror of 911. Also, 15 million is the inverse of Bob plus Cecil. Bob is 19 if you just take all the numbers straight, and Cecil is 32, and 19 plus 32 is 51. So he when he says he's going to walk away with 15 million, he's also referring to that he's basically owning the other brother. This is a fight between the dark and the light brother, but it's interesting because this guy had played the light most of his life and now he's dark, and this guy had played the dark most of his life and now he's light. And they are also planning, this destruction is also happening at sunrise, which also echoes the dark and the light again. All right, so there's a lot of perfect timing in here, but they take the time to show Lisa walking up these stairs, and she starts them basically at 1618, which is the phi number. And then over here you have basically atonement, 922. Also 927, and a few other dates are in there. And it turns out there are 23 stairs here. I was guessing 33, but it looks like there's 23, and she's on the 5th one. All right, so I just want to show you another 9/11 moment. This is an action breakthrough moment. This is where he has a plan, Bob has a plan to get him and the kids out of the turbine. So it's just the symbolism. It's just learning these symbols and seeing them, how they use it again and again. Whenever there's a decision that moves things forward, it's a 9/11 or a 6/11. Also, I just want to say I didn't pick this timestamp. I didn't just stop it here. This is the first scene of her on the steps. So I just wanted to show you that. Looks like it goes to a 1621. Yeah, 1621 for the completion of that. So that's 163. That's a 36. It's basically 63. Tesla says that's the secret to the universe is 3, 6, and 9. So that might be what they're referring to here after she goes up these 23 steps. Another moment of decision where they jump down this dangerous area here, and we have a 6/11 or a 9/11 on the clock. And when he actually does jump, then it goes to this, and that's 6:32. So again, same thing again. Except for that was an upright action for him to grab the kids and try to save them. So at this moment, Bob points to the sunrise, and right at the time happens to be 17. This confirms pi. This confirms pi being an HI being Hawaii and equaling 17 and equaling Q. And at this point, I guess so this would be symbolic of Q this would be Cecil's plan, where he's using Q or the sunrise to change destiny, to blow up the dam. I think that's how the 17 is acting here. But they show you that the sunrise is 17. All right, just need to point out that 923, which is the day after 922. 922 is the Day of Atonement, the end of Rosh Hashanah. I don't know if I'm saying that right. 923 is the fall equinox. So when they have these alignments of the sun referring, so you can kind of see there's a pyramid here, especially on this side, that they are standing at the top of this pyramid. And then the sun has the UN in it, which adds up to 35, which is the I equivalent. I adds up to 35, and the UN sees all. But it's interesting because they show you here that Ra's eye, see, Ra's eye is the sun that sees all. So that is very interesting. I don't know. I'm just interpreting the code here. I don't know exactly, which tradition that belongs to, or whether it's just the Illuminati that believe that, or the people who invented English, or anything about that. But I want to point that out to you. So we have Ra's eye, and then we have the manifestation letter here, very in the middle, in the core, because they care about these cores. So again, I meant to draw B. So B is the letter 2, and then this is 18, which is 9. The Illuminatus Observer says that 2 is the Isis number, 1 is Osiris, he's the written word, she's the spoken word, and that 9 is Set. So I'm just trying to keep that in mind when I look at things. But R is manifestation, it's the birth in motion. So this sunrise is a birth in motion. That makes sense, right guys? The birth of a new day. Then over here we have, oh, that's not a 25, that's a 28. So we have this 28 number is a day of the sun, not of the earth. So this is the rotation of the sun. That would be a sun's day. And that is. And then we have the 5 here, which I believe is a reminder of the pentacle, the 5 elements: earth, wind, air, fire, and spirit. This is the upright pentacle of the evolving human. When we add that together with this, it equals 32. So this is plus the upright evolved star is a 32. And if you've seen my videos, I think that the 32 is the code for the upright star, and the 23 is the code for the downward star. I'll draw it for you here as best I can. And because this one has the 2 on top. So this is the downward star. And so when they talk about 923, I think they're actually might be talking about the completion, the end of the de-evolved man. Either where the man becomes as de-evolved as possible and he can't de-evolve anymore, and then that's that's basically the bottom of that pendulum swing, and we have to go up then. So this would be 923 right here, which is kind of a hopeful sign. It means you can't go down any farther if you interpret it that way. So I'm not sure if I'm right. I'm just putting that out there. And Set, it's interesting because of the 9. Set is the Dark Lord who kills Osiris and cuts him into many pieces. And there's a back to the books thing that I want to read you about that, about the symbolism of that. But the completion number would be the completion of the darkness. So I don't know. I just kind of see that as hopeful. All right, so in this moment we have a destruction of the bride of Christ moment. We have Bart trying to do the right thing, and we have Cecil about to throw him into the water. And so we have an 816, or a 186, which is the Dylan Storm Roof, Georgia Guidestones, bride of Christ number, and it's also was on the 2 skeletons below the Hoover Dam, or they're holding a sign that says Bernie's living the dream, and they have 816 on their sign. So this is all anagrams of this number. Anagrams matter. If you're new to this, anagrams matter. These guys, it might seem like we're making this up, but you can see if you study these timestamps, you can see that it's not coincidence the way the numbers land. Oh, also the word dam. Here we have 6, and we have a 6 and a 5 ratio, which talks again about the interaction between pi and phi. Purple is the sign of royalty, of the master. All right, so trying to do a complete job here. So let's look at the word dam. Let me just switch back to white. So this is a 4, that's a 1, this is a 13. So you can see pretty quickly that you have a 414, which is again kind of a bride of Christ symbolism. It's the 144,000. So if they break the dam or blow up the dam, this is kind of what they're talking about. Now, if you may have noticed on the Hoover Dam, they had the red circle with the goat and the twin towers in between it. You may have seen a video about that. This is my drawing of a goat and twin towers. And if you imagine this breaking through, it looks like an R. It would be a birth. It would be waters rushing through the circle, and that's what this adds up to. Is 4 plus 14 is 18, which is an R. So it could be that they designed this word and this complete invention of a dam could have been designed with the idea of being a manifestation, possibly of death and chaos, when these birth waters rush forth, when these waters are held back and then they rush forth. That would be devastating birth waters, you could say. And it would be a manifestation of the dark Ra. So he's about to throw Bart. I don't know if we've looked at Bart. Hold on. All right, well, that's interesting. Bart, when you use the B as a 2, adds up to 41, which means he's also blind. So they are like the blind twins here. male and female blind twins, and they add up, Lisa and Bart add up to 82. Well, I didn't know if this was going to be worth it, but look right here. 82 is the 23rd biprime and the 12th of the form of that form. So it's the 23rd biprime. You know, we love bi. We love the double, the dark and the light, the bi-bull. So we have a biprime here. The aliquot sum of 82 is 44. Okay, I don't know that. But I wanted to show you over here all of these, the tertiary and binary equivalents of this number and the Roman numeral. I was just wondering why in that statue they have that statue standing on a bear. Well, this might explain it. This is Messier 82 is a starburst galaxy in the constellation Ursa Major. All right, well, I'm actually really glad that I looked this up, because this is the atomic number of lead, and like most normal people do, I was actually wondering what the atomic number of lead was last night, because I was reading a chapter about turning lead into gold, and I was looking at both of the menorah gematria with that and the simple gematria with that, and it was all very interesting, and I do want to do a back to the books with you guys on that. In fact, this is I didn't mean to decode all this today. I was going to do like 12 short back to the books. So if you like short videos, you probably didn't make it to this point in this video, but there will be some short ones coming up. So some are long, some are short. Lead to gold. This is really amazing. So lead is like a double blind. It's a 41-41. It's just amazing. And gold, I don't have, I know it's I know, oh, okay, let me just bring it up. All right, well, AU in the simple gematria is 22, and it's aurum from Latin, which reminds me of aura. The atomic number is 79, so this reduces to a 16, which could be our 106 gateway that we are seeing in Philadelphia and other places. So the interesting thing, so it reduces to a 16, but then it adds back to a 7. So then that way they can use this gold, because you know they love this, they love gold, they love the symbolism of gold. They can use that to equal the 7-7 on the head of the train. Not surprisingly, it's a group 11 element. I think this is important to notice the face-centered cube crystalline structure of gold, because when we see this again, we see this like in the Truman Show, we see this a lot of places, then we can know what it is. It's my first time noticing this. Its atomic radius is an empirical 144,000. There's another Bride of Christ tie-in. Covalent radius is 136. We just saw that number. You should know that they probably do doctor all these numbers up, because this is a 936. That's the well, it's both things. It's a 936, but it's also an 816, so it's also phi. But as a 936, it's the secret of the universe, according to Tesla. So they're saying here that a total of this many tons of gold have been mined in human history. All right, I like to look at the etymology. So it's etymologically similar to yellow in the Proto-Germanic gelb. So this, when we see yellow, like these guys are yellow, or when we see a yellow color, or Casey sometimes decodes yellow things in the background of movies or in the foreground, and he ties it to that's the Christ number. And in a sense, when you understand the gold, then it is the Christ number, because that is the completion of lead into gold. And so you'll see sometimes in movies that they will have something disrespecting yellow. Well, they'll like drop yellow leaflets down a pit or something like that, or they'll burn something yellow, and that just means that they are. Casey would say it's a mocking of Christ, and I would say it's a mocking of human evolution to the Christ love, to having the Christ within, having the kingdom of God within. So, and then also, since all these Simpson characters are yellow, that shows you their potential. All right, well, we can't leave without eating this piece of the pie, or the phi, as it may be. So AU, so the most stable of these 36 radioisotopes of gold is 195 AU with a half-life of R phi. So the half-life, so isn't that interesting? So that's the half-life. It's the 816 number again. I do want to say this, I was waiting for them to do something on 9/6, and I'm glad that really nothing happened. I think that a lot happened behind the scenes. I think that they probably tried to do something on 9/6 and it didn't happen. Another day to look for is 9/15, because that again is a 9/6, and it relates to this because if you add the 1 and the 8, that's a 9. And we know this ties, if you haven't been watching, if this is your first video with me, please, thank you so much for hanging in here. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope you liked it. I hope you felt like it was a good use of your time. I feel like you will have a lot of clues going forward when you see things in your own life. But 9/6 is the funeral date of Diana, and she was the Artemis Inanna Ishtar moon goddess symbol. And she was also believed, she was also a symbol of the Mother of Christ, which would be a symbol of the Holy Spirit. And they killed her on August 31st. I was just looking at the numbers in my head of that. And it was, now I can't remember the year. But so that was a Bride of Christ number when they killed her, because the reason why she's a Mother of Christ symbol is because she has the bloodline of the Moravian kings. They brought her into the family because the royal family only had Abraham blood. They didn't have Moravian king blood, and they wanted Moravian king blood, so they raised Diana from the beginning to serve all of these symbolic purposes. And that is why, besides that, there's gematria that directly ties Bride of Christ symbolism to 816. Diana's funeral is another tie-in having to do with the dates. So this is why I bring that up. Another date to watch. Just to watch. We don't watch in fear. We watch to learn. We watch to see what they're doing. And when we see a big date comes up where they've coded an event like 5/28 of this last year, they coded the movie San Andreas heavily. They heavily coded it, saying that they were going to blow some nukes into that fault. They showed that it was going to be nukes. I wasn't making videos at the time. But what happened was it was a planetary alignment, and there was a lot of prophecy about that, and they failed. And the reason why is because the only explanation is, unless you believe that these crazy maniacs have restraint, and by some miracle they haven't done horrible mass killings with nukes, unless you believe that, the only other explanation is they have been prevented from using nukes. Now, a few days ago, and I believe it was on, I think it was actually on 9/4, that was the date of the news story. I thought it was going to be on 9/6, so I was kind of disappointed to see it was on 9/4, because I was looking for 9/6 happenings. But there was a strange anomaly in the sky in Florida where they had launched a jet. Well, what immediately occurs to me is that they were launching a jet that was nefarious to human health, and they were prevented. They were prevented in doing that by this display in the sky. I don't know what happened to the jet, if it disabled the jet or not, and all of that's going to be classified, and we're not going to find out, because if we found out that benevolent star people were preventing disasters, then these guys would be laughed off the planet. So they don't want you to know. But this is interesting. I hope I can remember that. You guys can remind me in the comments. Oh, remember you told us about this, because I want to remember that. 32 nuclear isomers, all these numbers are pretty amazing, don't you think? Yeah, does everybody remember when gold skyrocketed? Even, this says 74, but even here, I remember I knew somebody who had extra money at the time, and he put $2,000 into gold, and we all got to, when we went to visit him, we got to see how wonderful that turned out for him. I was really wishing, oh my gosh, I wish I had $2,000 to turn into gold. I know that Wikipedia is whitewashed, but I love Wikipedia. You just have to keep in mind that it's been whitewashed. I was one of those kids who would read the encyclopedia. And I love this website. I'm sorry that it's whitewashed, though. All right, this part I find really interesting. I hope you don't mind taking a gold aside here, because this was so interesting that the Aztecs regarded gold literally as the product of the gods. They called it god excrement. And when the Spanish came, they found lots of gold artifacts, but they found no raw gold anywhere. And the Zachariah Sitchin book beats around this bush, and I can't tell whether he really understands what happened or what those pyramids really do. Those pyramids create the gold, and it's a secret. If you want to learn more about this concept, it has to do with a masculine and a feminine form of matter. In the feminine form, matter is not detectable. So that's kind of your clue about what these pyramids did. And then someone else who knows about this is a guy named Dan Nelson, and he creates water using a reverse time laser that programs the water with the feminine form of many frequencies that your body can use, because your cells are supposed to be little black holes, and they can call whatever they're supposed. They have the ability to communicate whatever they need, and they will receive it through frequency, through the singularity of the black hole within them, and then they will create it if they have living water within them. They can't create it without living water, and then your cells will have whatever they need. So Dan Nelson has some videos on the internet. I think he wishes they weren't there. But that is an amazing science, and I have studied that water using the microscope and blood microscopy, and it is worth buying, in short. But yeah, so the water's called Wayback Water, and I think you can look it up and buy it. I'll just tell you, one bottle, for a family of 4, plus we also gave it to the dogs. You're supposed to ramp up on it, and you must respect the ramp up. The water is so healing, it will mess you up if you take up too much. If you take too much of it, if you just drank a bottle of it, I think, you could possibly die. That's how healing it is, and it would cause massive cleansing all at once, way too much for you to have. So if you have a bottle of water around you need to put like a warning label on it so that no one's going to pick that up and drink it. But anyway, I have a family of 4+ dogs, and one bottle of this, which you can buy for $40, lasted, I think it was 3 months. And I just think it's really important, especially if you are a parent or if you have suffered with toxic exposure yourself. This can really give you a lot of hope for your own self, but also for me, it gives me hope for my children. All I have to do is force them to drink it, because they keep forgetting, have you had your Wayback Water yet? But at least I feel a little safer in modern society knowing that I'm able to provide this for them, and I have measured myself and other people and my husband's blood underneath the microscope, and I see that it has immediate, drastic, healthy effects on the blood. It's crazy. All right, so when they say there's gold in them hills, that is a distortion. They're just leading people with excitement in the wrong direction about how and where the gold really comes from. I had a past life with where my husband, I think we were married when he found a nugget, and we lived our whole lives from that nugget, very simply, of course. But I just wanted to tell you I have a sweet memory of that. All right, so here we are back at lead, and it also has a face-centered cubic crystal structure, and it has some other interesting numbers in here. All right, well, now we can see Bart and Lisa as the lead twins, the blind lead twins with golden potential. And here he's going to throw him.
At last I'm going to do what Bob never could. Kill Bart Simpson.
By throwing me off a dam?
I was looking for the time. All right. The actual moment. All right, so again, at 1816, we see that Lisa sees her brother falling.
Genius like you.
Ooh, what?
The audio is off.
I suppose it is. Yeah, if anyone asks, I'll lie.
All right, so a little bit later, this happens where these guys fall from the point of 1856 to this point, which is 10 full seconds. It's just kind of interesting to have a 10 full seconds versus falling, and then to end on the 9-6, which is the falling. It's the falling number because it's the fall from 9 to 6, and it's the opposite of free. And I've talked about that in other videos. All right, so they arrest the wrong guy up there. They arrest Bob and actually they arrest Bob and Cecil. But here we see the cracking. So I'm just going to show you these numbers because it's the 12th prime and the 20. So together that equals the 30, which is Bible, Alice, Hale, and Eagle. So here, so this is a 12 plus the 20 is a 32.
Funny, isn't it, Reese? Those people down there have no...
So there's a 44. So this is a different kind of a 44, and then this is the moment where the bridge breaks, and that's 42. That's the meaning of life number. This is the point where Homer sees the wave and he runs in, and this is the way number. It's also a 69, so it's also free, but it shows the way. So he made a choice basically there. That's the divergent 7. All right, well here's Springfield Prison. So on this side there is it's the opposite of an I. It's the look number for spring. Maybe look before you leap, I'm not sure. Then in the middle of this word is 76. It's the spirit of 76, which we see on gas stations having to do with oil consciousness and astral travel. But really what it is freedom from the dome, having to do with astral travel. So spring with the G is 60. And then field is a 36. But the outer valence here is a 30, which is Bible, Eagle, Alice, and Hale. Here, prison, we have a 7-11 outer valence of this word, and 28, which is the rotation of the sun on the inner, and the word is. So, all right, so they just fight over the top bunk here. All right, well, I hope that there was enough interesting code in here to add to your code repertoire, and I hope it was interesting. I think that just having this be the 816 in the season and the episode, having it having to do with the destruction of a dam, and that it came out on February. Actually, now I can't remember. Hold on. February 23rd is very meaningful. Episode 16 and 16 in the year. So there was a lot in there. I hope you liked that. I kind of went into depth. I think these things should be gone into depth once in a while, and that it will help us stay abreast all of these codes, so that when we see them, just from repetition, we're going to be more familiar. We're going to know what they're talking about. All right, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.